focusing on just simply getting to know the brushes, understanding how to download them, using some of them to achieve different effects. Now we're going to talk about blending, because you are going to be using this technique when you're working on your flowers. I had mentioned that the sphere was drawn kind of weirdly with this stroke showing. And the only reason it is because I have a paper effect added to the fill of this circle, which is creating this line. And then I'm also going to have this ellipse locked on the edges, so that when you do paint it, which I can show you right now before we begin, the paint should stay within the sphere. This again is just for this assignment. You're not going to be doing the locked effect for your flower, but it just makes it easier for us to accomplish what we're trying to do for this particular assignment. I'm going to start with the round robin brush, because I just want to. You could even start with the wash brush as well if you wanted something a little softer. And we're going to talk about complementary colors being used to create shadow. So when you take two complementary colors, which are two colors opposite each other on the color wheel, you get a shadow. Actually, yeah, you get a darker value of those two colors blended together. And we're going to use that for our shadows. So we have a highlight on the sphere, we have our shadow. Before we get into the real dark part, which is the core, we have a mid-tone, and then we have reflected light, which is interesting because that comes from the table or the surface that the sphere is sitting on. We're not going to deal with the cast shadow. You can if you want to, but we're not going to do it, so I don't have that one labeled. Okay. All right, so I'm going to start with the colors that are already given to me, and I particularly like blue, so I'm going to use my eyedropper, and I'm going to click on the blue. You can click on any of the colors. Actually, you know what? I might even do this blue and start with that one, and then I'm just going to create a swatch. Let's unlock this. Yours is going to be unlocked when you get this file. Okay. And let's go the opposite. So even though there's not an arrow, I'm just going to go right across and grab that. I'm going to place them right on top of each other. So I actually have a nice shadow that's happened because of these two colors. Okay, my circle is going to be blue to start, and then I'm going to use my shadow to actually create the core shadow, the mid-tone, and all of those things. Okay, I want to stay within this circle. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to click on the lock pixels. So it's going to lock the edge of this. And I'm just going to start simply at 50%. And I'm just going to wash across the entire circle. Now my brush is going slow because it's getting a little big. Since I am doing a wash, it's taking its time to catch up. So the bigger your brush, the harder sometimes it is for your computer to keep up. And you might get the infamous wheel, so just be careful. All right. Then I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more blue to this section because I know it's going to be my shadow area. And then I'm going to leave this top part alone. I want this to be kind of where my highlight is. Okay, and now I'm going to start to add in my shadows. I'm going to start off really light. That's why I mentioned before, start off at about 50. You should be putting your color swatches down, these at 100, but once you start painting, you should be using about 50%. You can even go lower than that if you want. And then I'm going to lower my brush because my computer's not liking me right now. It's telling me I can't keep up with my speed. I'm just going to gradually The bell's gonna ring in a few minutes, so if you hear a bell in the background, that's what that is. I don't want to stop the video. Okay. And I don't like how this is looking, so I think I'm going to switch to my soft wash edge. Let's try that. Softer wash edge, that's what it's called. Softer, soft wash, soft wash. There it is. Maybe I will get a little bit of a, yeah, there we go. Let's try using that. You gotta find the brush that makes you happy and gives you the results that you want. Okay, so as you see me applying this color, you're noticing that it's starting to look rounded. It's because my lines that I'm painting, our strokes are going with the core of the circle. I'm just going to keep going back in with my colors. And then I would go over my edges with the blend tool later. And if you feel like you went a little dark, you can grab that eraser tool and on low opacity and take out some of those colors. I haven't used a blend tool yet, and I'm actually pretty happy with the colors. Okay, so I can switch now to the softer wet blend, which I like better than the all-purpose. So softer wet blend, and with very low strength, because I don't want this to get all mushy. Because I'm just gonna gently, very gently, smudge these out. This is not meant to look like an oil pastel. This is not meant to look like a big mushy mess. I just want to softly only touch the areas where I feel like I really could use some help with blending. Okay. And then maybe just a little bit, not a lot. I'm gonna switch, I'm just using my terminology here to remember what these brushes are. I'm gonna go in with my eraser edge. Very, very low opacity. I don't wanna lose some of that pretty paint that I have up here. I'm just gonna kind of, especially the edge, just kind of come in here. Take out some of that paint so I get more of a highlight. And then go back to the soft wet blend. Just do soft wet, softer. See, the terms really matter. Softer wet blend. Just kind of blend that out a little bit. Okay, you don't have to use the colors that I used, but you should practice the techniques that I'm teaching you so that your circle should look a little bit round. It should look like a sphere because you're going to be trying to paint petals and making your flower, even though it's abstract, look three-dimensional. Okay. So I would go in and probably redefine some of these shadows It's a little too, it goes from a little bright to a little dark, so I'll probably take an eraser and kind of extract some of these colors and lighten up this blue a little bit. But overall, this looks like a watercolor. So once you're done, you're going to save as, and make sure you save to your Creative Cloud. So save. And then you're going to export it as a ping and turn it in on Canvas. I will not grade any files that come in as PSDs. PSDs are very difficult for me to grade on Canvas, so it must be a ping file for me to be able to grade this assignment. It's going to take a minute, you can tell.